We have been conditioned to see Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol as a heartwarming tale of redemption, snow-covered streets, and holiday cheer. But the truth is far more sinister. In 1843, Dickens didn't set out to write a festive fable. He wrote a terrifying ghost story designed to haunt the comfortable. The original title page explicitly declared it, A Christmas Carol in prose, being a ghost story of Christmas. At a time when Christmas meant gathering by candlelight to share tales of the dead, Dickens used supernatural dread to hold a mirror to a society that had grown cold. This wasn't just about a grumpy old man named Scrooge, it was a desperate warning about the thin line between the living and the damned. To understand the terror within the story, we must look at the world Dickens lived in. In the 1840s, death was not a distant concept, it was a daily companion. Nearly half of all children never reached their 5th birthday, and the average life expectancy barely touched 40. This was a culture of mourning, where clocks were stopped at the hour of death and mirrors were draped in black cloth to prevent souls from becoming trapped. When Jacob Marley appears to Scrooge, dragging heavy chains forged from greed and selfishness, Dickens' readers didn't see a metaphor, they saw a plausible fate. The rattle of those chains was the sound of a literal damnation that every Victorian family feared would visit their own parlor. Perhaps the most disturbing element, one that modern adaptations almost always erase, is the reveal of ignorance and want. As the ghost of Christmas Present nears his end, he reveals 2 starving, wolfish children hiding beneath his robes. These weren't mere symbols. They were the faces of the children Dickens saw at the ragged schools, skeletal, meager, and neglected. The spirit warns, beware them both, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom. Dickens was indicting a society that chose to hide poverty behind tinsel and carols. He was telling his readers that if they ignored the suffering of the poor, they weren't just being naughty, they were breeding a social monster that would eventually destroy them all. Over the last century, Hollywood and publishers have meticulously sanded down the sharp edges of this story till only the sentimentality remained. They removed the skeletal hand of the future pointing to an unmourned corpse, and they turned Marley's agony into slapstick comedy. We have sanitized the horror to make it easier to consume, effectively burying the very message Dickens died trying to spread. Today, as poverty and social neglect rise once again, the ghosts of 1843 are returning. The true horror isn't found in the shadows of the spirits, but in how easily we have forgotten a warning. A Christmas Carol remains a haunting because it reminds us that our choices create a chain, link by link, that we may one day have to wear for eternity.